Hi guys, it's me again, and I'm doing a tutorial on needle felting. So I needle felted this hat, and took my needles and I went through and I had a foam and I made the hat form, and this is what I kind of made. And now to make it really strong, I'm going to wet felt it. And wet felting is, I'm going to put something in here inside the hat. If I don't do that, then the two pieces of felt inside here will bind together, and it won't be a hat anymore. But anyway, so I put something in there so it won't stick, and then I kind of push it down, and I have my stuff set up, my netting, my bubble wrap, and my towel, because we do have to use hot water. And you know what I use? I use Dawn. No big deal, Dawn. So this is a special thing you can get for wet felting, but you don't need it. You could just use a sponge. And this is all this is in this bucket is just hot water and Dawn. And I get it wet like this. A lot of people do it differently, but I get it wet just like this. I put it right on top. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it wet a little bit more because I want it wet all the way through. Then I'm going to agitate it just very gently because it's still very fragile, and I don't want to wreck what I just did. So I put the mesh on top, and I'm very gently pushing it down and trying to get the water to absorb inside of the felt or the wool. So we just needle felted all this wool together. This is just wool that I had, and some of it's natural wool, the natural undyed wool from black sheep. And the other stuff is, the pink stuff is silk. And I have wool neps, which is basically just the leftovers from carding the wool. It's just little round things I put on there. And the inside of this hat, I have 4 layers on here, by the way, of wool. And the inside of the hat is a mixed breed. Some of my sheep are in here, some of the Angora goats are in here, and other different breeds of sheep, which includes merino, which is a very fine fiber sheep. So anyway, what I'm doing is I'm taking it, and it takes a lot of water to get absorbed. But once you get it, you'll be able to figure it out. And I got this really handy tool. You do not need it, but I got this handy tool, and it's from Heartfelt Silks, and I don't promote them. I just love this thing. But you can make your own. What I'm doing is very gently going back and forth. And what you always want to do with like hats and fibers that you're going to wear when you want them to bind is go towards the middle. So I'm always trying to go different directions and go towards the middle, and I'm not very hard. I mean, it's just like rubbing somebody, massaging them really gently, really, really gently right now, because the fiber is so fragile right now. It's not bonded together. So anyway, I'm going to agitate this for a few minutes, and then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, and I'm going to continue to flip it over until I think it's good, until I think it's bonded enough. You can feel it to bond together. And to do this, you're going to have to expect probably a 30% shrinkage rate. So always make your things that you're wet felting a little bigger than what you think. And another thing to think about is any kind of different fiber you use will felt differently, will shrink differently, and in the direction you put it. So if you put something in a different direction on here, it's going to shrink in that direction. I'm just fairly gently pushing the water through, and some people use a sponge. I just use my hands, and I love this mesh. I don't even know where you get it, like Home Depot. A lot of my stuff here I got from Living Felt. You can get some of their stuff from Living Felt. I have some stuff on my website too, but this stuff is awesome. I really like this stuff. I have finished products too, and I have a goodie bag that people love at the market. It's on my store. It's very popular at the market. It's just like a bag of playful stuff you can make with whatever. And if you want to experiment with like scarves, which I'll show you later, this This is a little more complicated than I would start out with if you're just starting. This is not like flat felt. This is like resist, but it's needle felted, and what I'm going to do is continue to do this, and I'm going to move it around so I don't get seams. But I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Very, very gently pushing it. You know, the water's in it, and I have this extra rag here just because you don't want too much water in here, and you don't want too much suds in here because then it won't felt and you won't be happy. And don't be surprised if you're brand new. Some of these are they're dyed, and a lot of times the dye will still leak a little bit after they've dyed the wool. So don't be afraid. You know, don't get concerned. You know, it does happen that it see, like this has maybe a little hole here. So what you want to do is while you're in the beginning stages of wet felting and you have a little hole or a little place where the fiber's moving a little bit, save some of the fiber that you used to needle felt it, and you can patch holes if you have anything that's thin or anything like that. I tend to use a lot of water and a lot of hot water. If you're using a lot of silk, like if you want to do needle felting, you want to use like lukewarm water because you want that felt to really, the wool to really go through the silk fibers and catch on. And sometimes if you use too hot water, it felts too quick and it doesn't felt, and you'll be disappointed. And also the way that you rub or roll, because I'm going to roll too, it shrinks that way. So you want to be really even when you're doing your rolling or rubbing or whatever agitation you're doing. You want to make sure that you're even. So I'm going to keep doing this, and I'll come back in a minute and show you how what it looks like.